Hey everyone, apparently Justin Trudeau's attempt to take over the establishment media and create a fully entrenched media establishment that will carry favor and give positive political coverage for the federal Liberals, while simultaneously using that new digital charter to silence and suppress alternative voices or those who are out there pushing back against the narrative on social media platforms such as people like myself. Make no mistake about it, folks. This is all about silence and suppressing people who are challenging the authoritarian left, while at the same time propping up and bailing out those who do go along to get along with the ruling establishment. Headline on the Telegraph: Justin Trudeau accused of trying to buy sympathetic election coverage with $600 million newspaper bailout. It's being reported by Nick Allen, May 18th, 2019. Justin Trudeau's government has been accused of trying to buy media support and undermine the free press by launching a $600 million taxpayer-funded bailout for Canadian newspapers. The fund for supporting Canadian journalism would give tax credits and other incentives to traditional media organizations struggling to cope in the digital age. A bill introducing the scheme is expected to pass the Canadian Parliament in the next few months ahead of the general election in October. The Conservative opposition said the scheme would compromise journalists, move Canada towards state-run media, and lead to favorable pre-election coverage for Mr. Trudeau and his party. Well, duh! Hello! How can you even pretend or put forth the notion that you have independent media when one of the political establishments in this country has now given them not just a bailout, a get out of jail free card for their incompetence or ineptness in the past, which is why, there's a reason why the establishment media is failing tremendously. It's because they're just not giving people good, honest, objective journalism or critical thinking skills in regards to the politics or the news of the day. No, they're coming at it from a completely leftist, collectivist type of bent. And that's why people are moving and pivoting towards social media outlets or alternative voices such as people like myself, because they realize that people like me are giving them some honest truth and some objective realities or critical thinking skills in regards or how it pertains to the kind of information that we're being inundated with daily. They recognize that the establishment media are failing in that regard. And rather than correct that, right, that's the thing, that's the market, that's the beautiful thing about, free people, right? The fact that we're not now forced to pay for, well, other than CBC, but these other establishment media outlets or these corporations, the reason why they're failing is because that's the market saying, you're doing a terrible job. If they were doing a proper job and properly informing the Canadian people, well, their business model would be succeeding, because you can't play this game about digital because it's gone digital. Because in reality, it's actually cheaper to put forth your information to provide that at a much cheaper rate when you talk about digital, because to duplicate and replicate something digitally, it's just a matter of, well, you do it yourself. Copy and paste, copy and paste. How much does it cost you? Nothing, right? Basically almost nothing. Minimal cost. A little bit of internet connection and some underlying software or written software, right? But as far as old style like the newspapers, well, you needed ink, you needed paper. A lot of resources were needed and comprised. A lot of expensive resources were needed and comprised to propagate your message the old school way. Whereas in the new digital era, in the information age, you don't need that kind of overhead or infrastructure. So everything is done much, much more cheaply today. So actually the established media outlets can't use the fact that there's disruptors because of digital technology, because actually they are the ones that actually should be benefiting economically, substantially. And the reason why they're failing is not because they can't create or conjure up a proper business model, because some have. Post Media seems to have done a pretty decent job of it, right? And not looking for bailouts or handouts. But these other establishment media outlets, once again, they still want to they still want to function in the realm of horse and buggies rather than entering the 21st century where you have technology such as automobiles. In the newspaper industry, once again, you have the ability to now propagate your message in the digital sphere and propagate that to a much, much larger audience with greatly reduced costs and infrastructure. So the fact that they're failing, like I say, has nothing to do with the fact that there's a transition from a different type of medium and how they propagate their messaging. Why they're failing is because they're not properly informing the people, and people are recognizing that reality. Well, once again, when the market's sending a signal where they should do things properly, well, the government's stepping in, Trudeau's stepping in and saying, no, 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 don't correct your bad habits or behaviors. We'll just bail you instead. And by allowing you to continue on your bullshit, old school dinosaur way of reporting on things or your politically biased narrative, you're going to always and forever be reliant on big government to bail you out. Whereas if you relied on the market, if you gave the people what they really required, what they rightfully deserved, well, then you could rely on the people to sustain your business model or your income or your prosperity. But no, you're pivoting towards big government as a means to supplement or put a backstop to your decline in publication or your decline in viewership or consumers of your content. Once again, you go ahead and make that choice. You make that decision. Those of you that stash me, you go ahead and go down that road. That might help you out in the short term, but in the long run, you're going to see it's going to cause you to falter and fail even more. Using the power of government to propagate a one-sided narrative, like I say, that's a short-term strategy that will ultimately fail and be an ultimate contributor to your ultimate demise. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.